And then obviously John Textor was trying to buy Everton before. Now he's still looking to sell his shares in Crystal Palace. It's been reported that investment group Sportsbank has made a £230 million bid for his 45% stake in Crystal Palace. What have you made of that valuation? It seems to be quite high.
Yeah, I think it's particularly high given the minority position. So I think if you were to come along and say, here's a London football club that's for sale for £500 million for somebody that wants to get into Premier League football, it's a London franchise. You can redevelop the stadium potentially. It's got a fantastic academy. It's got a South London talent pool for young players, which has been successful. There's a story you could tell for why Crystal Palace makes sense to be a £500 million club. I'm not sure you can structure a rationale for why you would buy a minority stake of 45% at half of that. That doesn't seem to make sense to me at all. Palace are a club with a very low level of match day revenue, a small stadium, approximately the same sort of level as Brentford from a match day perspective. They benefit clearly from the Premier League money. That they did 140 million in 22-23. We don't have 23-24, but it would have been, from memory, broadly similar. I think they finished broadly in the same position. And their commercial is less than £30 million. So, it's a company with a revenue of about 180 in a good year. And it's hard to see how that's worth £500 million to me. As a basis for a minority investment. But Textor's investment level for the last slice that he bought was quite high as well. So it's not, he's not taking a massive profit. I think he bought at a revenue multiple of 3.2 when he bought his latest slug in 2021. That implied a valuation of nearly 500 million. So it's not a huge uplift on what his last piece was bought for. But I do think it's quite a lot of money to value Palace at. The thing that would concern me for Palace fans at the moment is that you don't really get a lot of information about Sportsbank or whatever they're called. They're a newly formed shell. And so the reality is nobody knows who's behind the bid at the moment. The two individuals who are stated in the press do not seem to be the providers of the funding. So they seem to be the people fronting the investment vehicle, which is not the same. So at this stage, I'd be quite cautious about that story. Clearly, he's got Rain Group trying to source interested parties. I still think the most likely buyers are Harris and Blitzer, the owners of the other part of the equity, because it's just hard to see how a minority coming in is going to be that excited by the proposition without buy-in from the other 55%.